A month had passed in the shelter. Time there stretched like sticky silence, as if someone deliberately drew out every minute and chained us to the gray walls. Markus and I had lost all hope for the future we had so carefully begun to imagine with Grace. It seemed as if life had once again become an endless corridor without doors or windows. The walls seemed to close in higher and closer, squeezing us, taking even the air away. But one day something happened that I didn't expect at all. A visitor came to the shelter. Usually, strangers didn't come here, only social workers or occasional volunteers. But this time, when the door opened and I saw the familiar figure, a wave of emotion hit me. It was her. Grace. I ran to her and clung to her blouse as if it were my last chance to survive. I smelled the same perfume, a scent that took me back to those brief moments of warmth and peace, when life still seemed worth living. I had a hard time getting to you, she said quietly once we finally sat down. I had to resolve countless documents. I reached out to some acquaintances and they helped me. I listened, hardly believing that she was really here, fighting for us when the whole world had turned away. And then she said words I had never dared to hear in this gloomy month. I will fight for your guardianship. Tears instantly filled my eyes. I couldn't put together a single word, not even to thank her. Everything inside me tightened and then exploded with relief and joy. From that day, our life in the shelter began to change. We began to see drawings on the walls, which had previously seemed like nothing more than dirty stains. We began to laugh at small things because we finally had a goal. Grace often came to visit, telling us how the process was going. It wasn't easy. Our past, our escapes, our wounds, all stood against us. But she never gave up. It was especially important that she insisted on a new psychologist. She argued in court that the previous one had been unreliable and inattentive. And then a new psychologist appeared. He spoke differently, listened carefully, didn't look down on us but truly cared. His conclusion was like a breath of fresh air. We shouldn't be separated. We were a whole and only together could we recover. It was a victory. Small but important. But happiness didn't last long. The social services began digging deeper. They decided to find our relatives. And then he appeared, my grandfather. A man whose existence I didn't even know. I had never seen him, never heard his voice, never even imagined if he was alive. All I knew, after my mother married my father, he and the rest of the family turned away from her. No support, no calls. And now he was standing before me. I felt nothing but cold. As if his presence was another blow, another wound. He tried to talk, asked why I was so distant, why I turned away. And then everything that had hurt me for years burst out. If you had found us earlier, when my father was doing terrible things, when my mother could no longer live properly, you could have saved us. Then she would be alive. And my life wouldn't have been like this. You will never be family to me. You will never deserve my love. I saw his face freeze at my words. But it was the truth. This situation complicated Grace's fight. She wasn't my blood relative, while my grandfather insisted on guardianship. She spoke with him at length, trying to explain that I didn't want to be with him. That my family was only her and Markus. But he repeated the same thing. I have no more family. I need to leave my inheritance. He cared more about his name, his money than about us. Meanwhile, Markus was luckier. He had no relatives, so Grace was able to take him under her guardianship. His path, though difficult, was straightforward. For me, however, hell had begun. I closed myself off. I stopped speaking, refused to eat. My body was losing strength, and strange wounds even began to appear, as if my skin itself had decided to surrender. I didn't get out of bed, just stared at the ceiling, thinking that it might have been better if I had never been born. Grace saw me fading. Even my grandfather realized he was losing me. And then he agreed to give up guardianship. But he set one condition. Grace must allow me to see him a few times a year during holidays. Did I feel joy? No. I was hollowed out. I didn't even feel like a human being. I was just a shadow, existing but not living. Yet I didn't know it then. Everything was just beginning.